Time does away with all things, making anything that manages to endure its passing all the dearer to us. This effect compels us to do our utmost to preserve our most cherished possessions, moments, and relationships. Try as it might, however, time is rarely successful in marching us entirely out of our childhoods, as the bonds we make during this period are often the ones we protect the most fervently. It is because of this that people rarely separate from their most treasured childhood friend willingly. Like the relationship that can define an entire epoch of one's life, many would go to any lengths to maintain their childhood friendships. Please join us as we explore our favorite hentai anime where old friends join together as lovers in order to cement the bond of their friendship into eternity. But before rewinding past, make sure to subscribe my channel to get updated with Anime World.
At 10th place we have Pure Love Maniac. Often, childhood friends find that the only way to keep themselves from falling apart is to confess their love for one another. As Pure Love Maniac opens, we are introduced to Himiko, a woman who is tired of entertaining the idea of being married off to one of her many suitors. She admits to her childhood friend and servant, Keita, that she already has a fiancé, but would gladly break it off with him if only Keita would be her boyfriend. Keita is then drawn into having intercourse with Himiko, during which she reveals that Keita promised to be her fiancé 10 years ago. This sudden realization spurs the two to admit their love for one another, thereby allowing Keita to make good on his promise. As Himiko's servant, Keita was unaware of the impact he was having on her until fate forced them to confront the feelings they both held in secret. All too often are relationships hindered by people who are too oblivious to read the signals others are sending them. At 9th place we have 𝐴 When pursuing a romantic interest, we tend to focus on a single person, unaware that others may be vying for our attention. In Kimikoi Takane no Hana, Hajime is so deeply enamored with his classmate, Megumi, that he recruits the head of the science club, his childhood friend Misa, to help him make a drug that will make Megumi fall for him. After extracting his semen, Misa is able to conceive ⴑ a drug which makes Megumi lust uncontrollably for Hajime. Misa, however, had hoped for the drug to be ineffective because she wanted Hajime for herself, a fact which Megumi is able to intuit after having intercourse with Hajime. Hajime recognizes that his childhood friend is in love with him and gracefully accepts both women as his lovers. Hajime's ardent passion for Megumi clouded his judgment and made him unaware of Misa's affections. Luckily, Hajime recognized his folly in time to save their friendship, thus allowing him to keep both Megumi and Misa by his side. At 8th place we have Koinaka. Koinaka the Hatsukoi X Nakadashi sexual life the animation. When our hearts are forced to choose between those we hold most dear, we can find ourselves being indecisive or at least unwilling to make that choice. For his wavering commitment to a single woman, Kota inadvertently throws himself into the middle of a sexual war in Koinaka. In order to preserve her shrine, a god is forced to bring the shrine's priest, Kota, a wife. This does not sit well with Kota's childhood friend, Mio, who decides that she wants to compete for his heart in sexual challenges of ever-increasing lewdness. The competition escalates to the point where, unable to bear Kota's appeal, his sister and the Shine's god herself join the fray. Unable to submit to his childhood friend's affections, Kota ends up in what can only be described as a harem, where he is less likely to make a choice than ever before. Like many a harem protagonist before him, he is destined to be forever at the whims of the women in his life. At 7th place we have Kanojo X Kanojo X Kanojo. As any man can attest to, it is better to give a woman what she wants than to fight with her, and if what she wants is your main part, then all the better. This is a lesson that Kanojo X Kanojo X Kanojo's Shiki Harumi learns well after he is forced to move into the Arifushi household with his childhood friends, Akina, Natsumi, and Mafuyu. One by one, each sister seizes their opportunity to fuck Shiki, whether he likes it or not. Shiki's charm extends even beyond the three sisters as Akina's friends Hamenehara Suzerain and Midori Byakudan come to desire Shiki's attention themselves. Ultimately, every woman refuses to let any of the other four simply have Shiki, leaving him in sexual limbo for the foreseeable future. Shiki gets to live a man's ultimate fantasy as he is able to reunite with and fuck his childhood friends as well as all of their hottest acquaintances. Shiki truly sets a shining example for anyone trying to make the best out of a bad situation. At 6th place we have Abaya the animation. Childhood friendships truly shine when we find ourselves in dire straits and in need of a helping hand, as Kota discovers for himself in Abaya the animation. When he arrives home to a house suddenly under renovation and a missing set of parents, Kota is quickly taken in by the family of his childhood friend, Aki. The two end up sharing a room together. But when this situation turns awkward, the two are compelled to confront each other's feelings. With a slight push from Maki's mother, the two come to accept their love and thus begin to fuck every chance they get. Under normal circumstances, these two would likely have skirted around a relationship for years, but this sudden shift in circumstance manages to bring them closer together. While sharing a space so intimate with someone, it is practically impossible to hide your innermost feelings from them. At 5th place we have 𝐼 the animation. When two childhood friends are brought together by fate, they can only do so much to deny the truth that is clearly laid out before them. In 𝐼 the animation, Nozomu is looking for a place to stay because his parents want him to move out. Luckily, his childhood friend Shiori is eager to let him stay with her. In doing so, she plans to oversee his studying so they both get into the same college. But what she fails to realize is that the living arrangement will lead to much more. During this time, Nozomu confesses his love for Shiori, and the two enter into a mutually supportive and loving relationship that sees them both achieve their goals. By taking the initiative, Shiori ends up ensuring that the man she loves has every reason to stay with his childhood friend and lover. There is simply something intoxicating about being near the one you love that makes it impossible to not be true to your feelings. At 4th place we have Izuka Senpai X Blazer. If you ever find yourself with your crush straddling you, know that the universe has aligned specifically to help you get laid. When Toyomoto wakes to find his senpai Izuka atop him, it's clear that Izuka Senpai X Blazer does not waste time getting to the action. Separated by a few years in school, Toyomoto and Izuka are no longer in the same school, so Izuka has swung by to show him her new blazer. However, she's clearly looking for something more, as she has chosen to wake Toyomoto up by grinding on his that you all understand. Obviously, the two are unable to stop themselves from having some morning pleasure, all the while Izuka reveals how much she esteems Toyomoto and wishes for him to go to the same school as her. Frankly, Toyomoto's fate was sealed as soon as he woke up, as only the purest of men could ever stop themselves after being woken up by a dry hump. Add to that the allure of a childhood friend and you have a combination that most men would not even try to withstand.
At 3rd place we have sex friend 𝐻ՅΝΤA𝐼.
Even after being separated for years, the bond between two childhood friends endures, and the allure between ex-lovers remains. For Yukihisa and Shiho, the connection between former lovers and childhood friends is instantly rekindled when they meet serendipitously outside of a conference. They begin to reminisce of their younger days where losing their virginities to each other led to the two of them having as kinky and raunchy sex as they could imagine. With such a connection, they cannot help themselves from ending their night together in bed, where they both come to the realization that their adult love lives had felt empty because they did not have each other. Yukihisa and Shiho attempted to deny their love for each other because they felt that they needed to move on in order to grow, but once they had matured, they realized that their love could not be repressed indefinitely. Childhood friendships need not blossom into love immediately because those bonds endure into the future, where they might be once again re-examined. At 2nd place we have 𝐴 Honki no Netsujo. When left unfulfilled, love between two childhood friends can lay unrequited for years and still burn with the passionate vigor of youth. Soma is a bit of a womanizer, which means little for his job as a firefighter but everything for his role as the lead in 𝐴 Honki no Netsujo, 𝐻ՅΝΤA𝐼 Miwashu Bushi. After being saved from her burning apartment by him, Ryo Fujihi is now living with her childhood friend turned firefighter, Soma. Turned off by his womanizing ways, Ryo pledges to not give in to Soma's wiles but finds herself failing at every opportunity to turn him down. Only when Soma pledges his true love to Ryo do the two manage to create some semblance of a relationship. Despite Ryo's initial reluctance, Soma is able to hold out for years to date his true love. Of course, Ryo was bound to give in at some point because no woman can resist the pillar of a man that is Soma. At 1st place we have Masterpiece the animation. In the end, there is only so much that a person can stand before they can no longer repress their inner desires. Years after having taken him and after the death of his parents, the entire Tsubakihara family decides that they can no longer wait for Yuuji and Omoto. Yuuji's twin stepsisters are the queens of his high school, and their relationship with him is the envy of all the boys. To make matters worse, or maybe way better, both Mina and Yuna have decided to confess their love for Yuuji so that neither sister can claim a monopoly on his heart. As if the two gorgeous twins weren't enough, their mother, Mira, also has designs of poor Yuuji and whisks him away at a moment's notice to fulfill all of her desires. Having had the misfortune of losing his parents, Yuuji could have lived a difficult life, but instead ended up living out his days in so pure ecstasy, it could only exist in our wildest fantasies. The need to preserve the aspects of our childhood most meaningful to us often pushes us to do that which we would usually never consider. In taking these risks, we reap rewards far beyond what we ever thought possible. We create new memories that shape who we are and define our experience. Even if the relationships do not last forever, the memories live on in us as long as we allow them to. The memories of our earliest loves are ones that are well worth remembering and treasuring as part of the adventure that leads us to be who we are. To be honest, we all would likely seize the opportunity to strengthen the bonds of our own friendships. Did our list help rouse some of your own memories? If so, or if you would like to tell us about your favorite 𝐻ヂＮTA𝐼 hentai anime, please do so in the comments below.